advantage of Speedroid monsters' abilities to extend plays to ultimately bring out its most powerful Dragon-type Synchro monster. Put the pressure on your opponent by using Crystal Clear Winged Synchro Dragon to negate their effect activations. Without further ado, my name is Joshua Warnia, and let's begin. Okay, so Speedroid Red Eye Dice basically lets you, when it's basically brought out either by normal or special summon, you get to you can't select itself, but you can select a different Speedroid monster to change its level from 1 to 6 if you wish, or you can just as easily not activate its effects if you'd rather keep at the level it is. Speedroid Malicious Magnet lets you use one of your opponent's monsters for a Synchro summon. That's kind of cool. And then Speedroid Marble Machine, its known summon effect lets you add a Speedroid monster from your deck to your hand, so it lets you search for a Speedroid monster. Of course, a lot of them have the effect of like you can not special summon for the rest of the turn except for wind monsters, but Konami already thought of that and made it so that you only have wind monsters in your X deck anyway, and you only have wind monsters in your main deck. So I mean, the whole special summon wind monsters, that's not a problem. Can't only special summon wind monsters, that's not a problem. Except I guess if you're trying to special summon a non-win from your opponent's graveyard using Monster Reborn, but I mean 9 times out of 10 it shouldn't be a problem. I guess just like keep that in mind, because some of them say you can't special summon wind monsters this turn except for wind monsters. Some of them say for the rest of this turn, so just keep that in mind. And like maybe not like special summon a non-wind if you can from your opponent's graveyard using Monster Reborn. Basically focus on making plays with your own deck, unless you're special summoning a wind monster from your opponent's graveyard. Mostly you're just focusing on your own deck though. So anyway, Speedroid Terratop lets you special summon itself while you control no monsters, which is pretty good. And when it's normal or special summon, you get to add a Speedroid. So just like this one, a lot of these cards search for Speedroid monsters, which is pretty cool. And then Taka Tomborg allows you to special summon itself from your hand while you control a win, and all of your monsters are win. So as long as you basically have a monster out, you'll be able to special summon this card. As long as you basically have one of your monsters out. And its other effect is like you can either use itself for synchro summons, or if you don't really have a tuner, well, that can basically this can basically supply a level 3 effect monster for you or a level 3 tuner for you without really having a normal summon if you already control a monster. Because this can attribute itself to special summon a Speedroid tuner from your deck if you need one. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It can special summon out Cartab or Den Den. Den Den is probably one of the tuner you want to get with its effect, because then you can like when you use this as synchro material, you can then like basically use its graveyard effect in the same turn to banish it from the graveyard and special summon out a Speedroid tuner from your hand to graveyard except itself. So that's kind of cool. And then Card Turbo is basically just like Talk and Tomborg. It allows you to special summon itself if you control a wind monster. It's not as good as Talk and Tomborg, but it can come up. I remember in that one duel I could have easily used its effect to have all my monsters, my wind monsters, which basically all my monsters, since all wins, they gain 800 attack until the end of this turn, which can be the difference between like a win or a loss. Like sometimes, like that one duel, a little bit of extra damage would have been able to go for a game that turn. I think I still ended up winning, but could have won a lot sooner had I done that, I think. Pretty sure that was the true Draco duel. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, next card is Speedroid Ultra Hound. And when this card is normal summon, you get to, it's basically a mill for any Speedroid card. Which, I mean, like, mostly you're going to be going for monsters. It's probably mostly going to be Den. That's what I mostly sent with it. But you can actually use some of the spells as they have graveyard effects too. Like Speed Recovery has a graveyard effect. And Speedroid Duplicate. I think those are the only back row cards with graveyard effects. There's Speedroid. And then all the rest don't have graveyard effects. But like you could also like, or like you could even like do card turbo if you really need just that little bit of extra damage to get game. Or maybe something that you can banish with with one of the synchro monsters. I'll go into that later, where it can inflict 500 damage. Sometimes that's just enough for game. I mean, yeah. And also, so you probably want to do one of the ones that can like activate in the graveyard, or like maybe like even like if you need a specific tuner for a Den, you can also send that one. It doesn't. And this also has a graveyard effect too, allowing you to and it's not the same turn it's sent to the graveyard, but you can do it on like the following turn as like backup plays. So this deck allows for some backup plays too, which is pretty nice. You can special summon a Speedroid by banishing this card and targeting a Speedroid monster in graveyard. You shuffle into a deck and you special summon a Speedroid Synchro monster from next deck with same level but a different name. So that's kind of cool, but you also negate the Synchro monster's effect. So it's not kind of Synchro summon. It won't activate its effects, but that can be nice for like being able to go into some more plays. You can even target some of the Speedroid Synchros though too, if you want to like be able to play them. So that's kind of nice. So Speedroid Double Yo-Yo allows you to special summon a level 3 or lower Speedroid monster from your graveyard. So that's kind of nice. It can help you get out a few of the tuners for synchro plays, or get out Taka Tomborg if you want to get out something else from your deck. Which could be pretty nice, because then that helps you filter out your deck a bit if you bring out Taka Tomborg using the double yo-yo effect. Or you can like even use Speedroid Red Eye Dice and basically be able to go into like any level you want by like using the Red Eye Dice effect to like change the level of the double yo-yo, because it doesn't negate the effects. So that's pretty cool. And then Menko is probably, I mean, it's still pretty good actually. Like when an opponent's monster declares direct attack while this card is in your hand, you can special summon this card in attack position. If you do, change all face-up monsters the opponent controls to defense position. That can be pretty good when you're in a pinch. Speedroid Horse Stilts lets you special, when it's normal summon, you get to special summon a level 4 lower Speedroid monster from your hand. And also it keeps, as with the other card, it keeps the effects. So that can be pretty nice for some plays. But you probably don't want to use this to bring out Talk and Tomborg, since you're going to be able to special summon it self anyway, or Kato if you can. You should special summon one of the ones that can't be special summoned while you control a win. But yeah, like, again, Red Eye Dice might be nice for that, since then, like, you can basically go into whatever level single play you want. Whatever you need for the moment. And then there's also Speedroid Fuki Madoshi Piper. If this card is normal or a special summon, you can excavate cards from the top of your deck equal to a number of other wind monsters you control. Add one excavated card to your hand. Also place the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. You can manage this card from your graveyard and then target one level 3 or higher wind monster you control. Reduce its level by 2. You can only use each effect of Speedroid Fuki Madoshi Piper once per turn. Okay, so it's graveyard. So I didn't actually really use this effect because I'm very unfamiliar with this one. Its effects seem kind of complicated, but now I mean it's actually not too bad. Especially the level, being able to reduce levels can be useful if like one of your guys is too high to go into synchro play and you need to lower it a little bit. That can maybe help with that if you need to go into a specific synchro play. And then it's a first effect. I guess like being able to like draw a card if you only control one is kind of nice, or like you can like, or it can be like even like a pop rally if you control a little bit more. So it's not too bad, but like I feel like maybe some of the others are a little bit better. I don't know. Speedroid Rubber Band plane, but it's not a bad card either. Speedroid Rubber Band plane. Basically this acts as an extender. You're gonna be doing a lot of special summoning, either of your synchros or like of your regular monsters that like either like because you're special summoning with double yo-yo or Terratop or Talking Tomborg, so it'll be live quite a bit. Basically when you special summon to your field, you get to special summon this card from your hand, and then the whole like restriction thing applies, but that doesn't really matter. And then when it's normal special summon, you get to target or face a monster on the field to lose 600 attack until the end of its turn. Of course, you don't have to activate it if your opponent doesn't control any monsters, but if your opponent does, 600, that minus 600 attack can be kind of nice. When there's a really high attack monster on your opponent's side of the field, or you just need a bit more damage to get through to kill your opponent. But if you're planning to wipe the field anyway, it may not really matter that much. And then Hoppy's Feather, really good. Feather Duster, really good. A lot of people are playing back rows, especially the True Dracos. I feel like this is so good against True Dracos because you pretty much rely on their back row and the field spell. Anyway, but some of them do play the Stalin package, so you might have to be a little bit wary about that. So maybe try bait, like you could still use it if they get rid of Solemn. You could always like wipe their field another way, which I'll show. They have an in extra deck way of being able to wipe the field too. So if you don't get lucky enough for Hoppy's Feather Duster, if they negate it, then it can be good. So that other card can come to play as backup. Monster Reborn is pretty good, letting you special summon from either graveyard. It's probably going to be mostly from your graveyard because of the whole wind restriction. You kind of don't want to mess that up, but if your opponent has a really game-changing monster in their graveyard, maybe you should just go for that. And then speed recovery, it doesn't really trigger many of the synchro monster effects because many of them needs to be synchro summoned, but it can also trigger some of your regular monsters effects when they trigger by special summon. And then speed recovery is basically a monster reborn for but just for your graveyard, since most of your monsters are gonna be Speedroid monsters anyway, and while also allowing you to have a graveyard effect that allows you to banish it to add a Speedroid to your hand, so kind of like Warrior Returning Alive but for Speedroid monsters. And then Lightning Storm, while you control no face-up cards, you either destroy all attack position monsters on your opponent's side of the field or all back row they control. And again, this can basically act as your second, third copy of Hoppy's Feather Duster for the true Dracos, or just take out the monsters if your opponent doesn't play a lot of back row, which if they're playing one of the lone decks, these lone decks don't actually really have a lot of back row too. These lone decks are definitely more about being offensive, it seems, than defensive. Although the back row they do have are kind of nice. Like, there's Speedroid Scratch. That's not one of the back row that the defense back row that I'm talking about, but it allows you to send a Speedroid card from your hand to search for a Speedroid monster. And this is any Speedroid card. So this can be a spell, a trap, or a monster that's Speedroid. So that can be pretty good. Of course, the search, it also allows you to send something with a graveyard effect or something that you would like to be able to special summon later with Den Den. So you have a lot of options with that. It's not a terrible effect. Or like you could even send a level 3 monster, so then your double yo-yo will be live. Or level 3 or lower, rather. And then Speed Lift is a quick play. If you control exactly one tuner and know the monsters, you get to special summon a level 4 or lower Speedroid from your deck. Neither player can activate cards effects when that monster is special summoned. So, neither player can activate cards effects when that monster is special summoned. You do have to be wary about that when using this card, because what that means is, I learned the hard way that what that means is if the monster has a special summon effect, it basically negates that effect, since you can't use it. But so maybe don't special summon something that you are really hoping to activate the special summon effect of, but you could still special summon something like Takken Tomborg and then use its tribute effect to bring out another Speedroid, and then that Speedroid will be able to activate its special summon effect if it has one. Or you could get out Speedroid Rubber Band Plane, I guess. It's for a level 5 monster. I don't know. Takken Tomborg is probably a good choice though. Oh wait, it has to be level 4 lower. So there's probably not a lot of ways to bring out I mean, you could still search for a Rubber Band Plane because the ones that search don't have a level restriction, but yeah. And Rubber Band Plane might be actually a good choice to search. I just didn't think about it because I didn't really look at these decks before I played them, to be honest. But yeah, I think I still did pretty good despite that. Anyway, yeah, so that's thing to be worried about. But if you bring Takken Tomborg, that's basically a way to get around it. And then anyway, I better go through these a little bit quicker. I'm running out of time. So, Call by the Grave. I think a lot of people know how this is used. It basically, if your opponent tries to hand trap you, you can basically negate that. And it can be good for like other graveyard centric cards, or if they're trying to special summon something specific, you can always chain in response to like a Monster Reborn, just negate this summon completely, since they have to target first before special summoning, and if it's banished, they can only special summon it. And then Speedroid Wheel allows you to discard a card to roll a 6-sided die. So it's a little random, but as long as you get a number that's pretty good, even getting a 1 isn't too bad since you have the red-eyed dice. You basically special summoning the 1 and 2 that whose total levels equal the result, but you do negate the effects, so that kind of sucks. But hey, it's still special summoning 1 and 2 from the deck, so that's pretty nice. You're never gonna take the life point cost. You should always have monsters for this, no matter what number you get. If you get a 1, yeah, if you get a 2, you can just special summon your either one of these or like 2 of these if you can. 3, you have plenty of level 3s. 4, you can do 2 of the level 2s, or like a level 4 or a level 3 and a level 1. Yeah, if you roll a 5, you can do a level 3 and a level 2, or you even have like rubber band planes, so you could do that one. Or a 6, you can do the rubber band plane plus level 1, or like a level 4 plus a level 2, or a 2 level 3s. So you should always have targets, so you should never take the downside of losing life points. And then Speedroid Duplicate is basically a compulsory, but at the cost of banishing one of your win monsters. But it does have a graveyard effect, which basically allows you to reduce a Speedroid monster that's level 2 or higher by 1 to special summon itself as a level 1. So it's basically taking its level, creating a token out of that. So taking the reduced level of 1, but like that can still be good because it can basically get you a effect when you have a tuner on the field. Anyway, high speed with cork shooter. This is a tuner, so you can use this so this can be helpful. It has the effect when it's synchro summon, you get to add a search for a Speedroid spell or trap, and if all materials, and then it also has a graveyard effect. Oh wait, no, it also has the effect if all materials that we use for the synchro summon of this card with Speedroid monsters and they're all in your graveyard, special summon all of them, which most of the time you'll be able to get off. So that's pretty cool. It has versatility like that, and then you can special summon all of them, and then you can go straight into you can go into level 4 and maybe go into level 6 too, just with this one card. So that's pretty nice. And then you can maybe reactivate some of the effects if some of them have like, well, no, I think a lot of them are hard once per turns, but still, being able to basically then be able to go into like a level 6 off of that just through this, is pretty nice. And then high Speedroid puzzle, says at the start, it calls for genetic materials. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent, a special summon monster, you can make this card. This is basically the double attack when you're attacking into an opponent's monster, and then if it was sent to the graveyard because the synchro summons card was sent from the field to this turn, if you're basically using it as material, like basically you can like special summon materials out with high speed with cork shooter, then like use this one with like one of your effect monsters that you brought out, if you can, like if you I don't know, you don't have any level 1 effect, but like if you basically go into this and are able to use them in signature, you can use the graveyard effect in the same turn, which allows you to add a Speedroid from your Speedroid monster from your graveyard to your hand, except itself. And then Chunbar is the double attacker, and when it bows it gains 200 attack. So that's pretty nice, so that can like close out games sometimes. And then also if it's sent to the graveyard, you get to add a banished Speedroid to your hand, Speedroid card to your hand, and you can only special summon one of these per turn. So a lot of them ban, so you'll be able to get it off pretty easily. And then High Speedroid High Goita allows you to, during either player's turn, tribute this card, increase the levels of all monsters currently on the field by 1 until the end of this turn. If this card is in your graveyard and you control a Speedroid tuner monster, you can special summon this card. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, except win monsters. So this is kind of nice, since this is a quick effect, being able to tribute to do something. That can help you basically get around a few cards. Like in that one duel, I was able to get around the waterfall by simply tributing this. I was like able to bring it out later. And then like you can use its special summon effect in the same turn. So like it's pretty easy to bring out again. And anyway, Orient Dragon, which you're probably not gonna be going into a lot because it's not really a Speedroid. And it kind of has a worse effect of the bunch. You'd probably rather, like, even in that one duel where I did bring it out, I should have probably brought out Kandama instead. But oh well. This allows you to banish one of your opponent's Synchro monsters. So it's a pretty basic effect, but it can be useful, especially if you're like if you need to do that to close out a game. But you probably mostly want to bring out the Speedroid stuff, since a lot of them have graveyard effects to special summon themselves. Like this one does too. It's kind of competing with this, and this one has more recursion. If this card attacks a defense position monster, pray genetic materials, and if it attacks a defense position monster, so this deals piercing battle damage. So that's pretty nice. And then you can okay, so each of these is a hard once per turn, but they're like separate, but they're still hard ones per turns each. So either banish a machine to from your graveyard to inflict 500 damage to your opponent, which most of your Speedroids and your Speedroid synchros are machines. You're probably not going to be doing a lot, but it can be useful if you need exactly that much to get game. I would say if you're not getting game with the effect, it's probably not worth it. But also this another, or maybe like you can like even use that to banish something specific to be able to bring it back with High Speedroid Chumbar. Since it gets to use the effect right away, so that can be pretty nice. But anyway, if this card is in your graveyard and you control no cards, you can special summon this card. Cannot normal summon a set the turn you activate this effect. So this isn't for the rest of the turn. So if you already normal summon the turn before you did this, which is, it's probably gonna be like basically the first thing you do anyway. But yeah, just be thinking about that. Like you can't normal summon before you activate this effect either, which is basically what that means. And then Clear Wing Synchro Dragon is probably one of your best synchros. It allows you to, this is really also not terrible against True Dracos, since all of the True Dracos at this summoning are going to be level 5 or higher, but they like probably don't care much about the effects, but they can come out. It does keep your opponent from being able to like search unless they have like a skill drain something that they're activating that negates this card's effects. But anyway, it allows you to quick effect negate level 5 or higher monsters activate effects. So that's pretty cool. And it also, and then you destroy it too. So it's one of those. So that's pretty nice. And then also, if a monster effect were to target a level 5 or higher monster on the field, but exactly one, so like it doesn't really work against like a mass, like against like targeting more than one monster at the same time. But anyway, you get to negate the activation and destroy the card. So a lot of negations. That's pretty nice. And then if it destroys a monster, it gains attack equal to destroyed monster's original attack until the end of the turn. Which I'm not sure if that's really gonna come up a lot since you're already like attacked with it. But like, I guess it could. But like the best effects are definitely the negations. And then for Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, this is once per turn. Once per turn, when another monster's effect is activated, it's a quick effect too, so that's pretty nice. You can negate the activation if you destroy that monster, and if you do that, this card gains attack equal to destroyed monster's original attack until the end of the turn. If this card battles an opponent's level 5 or higher monster during damage calculation, this card gains attack equal to the current attack of the opponent's monster is battling during that damage calculation only. So you have 2 of each of those. And then High Speedroid Kite Drake. This one is the one that I'm talking about too, because this one also, when it's sync summon, you can also destroy all of the cards on the field. So this also has acts as mass board wipe. So if your like Hoppy's Feather Duster got negated, you can use that as bait when you're thinking about bringing this card out. Which like if you can, you probably should, because like a mass board wipe is pretty good. Or you can negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls, which includes the back row too. Like if you need to negate, well, if the skill drain is out, it's already out, you can't really do it. But you can activate in response to a skill drain. They basically can't act. Well, then you can just activate this, and then they activate this skill drain after that. I don't know. Anyway. So, and then also, if this card in your possession is sent to your graveyard, so if your opponent tries to destroy this or send to a graveyard by other means, you get to search for a Speedroid, so that's pretty cool. And then Crystal Clearwing Synchro Dragon. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, except during the damage step, quick effect, you can activate this effect. Till the end of this turn, this face-up card is unaffected by the activated effects of your opponent's monsters. Also, this card gains attack equal to that opponent's monster's original attack. Once per turn, when a spell or trap card or effect is activated, you can negate the effect. And if you do, destroy that card. If there's Synchro Summon cards you control is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card, you can add 1 wind monster from your deck to your hand. So it has a bunch of negations on top of and then if they try to like get rid of it, sending it to a graveyard, or destroying it and sending it to a graveyard, you get to add a wind monster, which is basically all of your Speedroids. So High Speedroid Clearwing Rider is a pretty good one. It basically allows you to destroy cards equal to a die result. The only thing that kind of sucks is if like I mean, you do shuffle wind monsters from your graveyard into your deck, so you can even target synchros. But I think if you have, but you should like definitely I would say make sure you have at least 6. So you can like, so even if you're level 6, you'll be able to do it, because I'm pretty sure if you control less than the die, if you have less than a die result in your graveyard, you won't be able to even activate the effects. But it's okay. I'm pretty sure, yeah, since the destroy up to number shuffled, you can always destroy less. So like your opponent doesn't need to can easily have less than 6 on their field, and you still activate this card. And then this card gains 5 attack for each card you destroy. So that can be pretty good. It can get to some pretty high attacks. I mean, its attack is already pretty high at 3,500, but that can be helpful. And then also it has another really good effect where you're basically during your opponent's main phase able to tribute it off to get out 2 of your win level 7s, which the win level 7s you have are Clearwing Fast Dragon and Clearwing Synchro Dragon. So you can get 1 of each of those, since they have to be with different names. So that's pretty cool. And then this one is basically like Clearwing Synchro Dragon, but only for X deck monsters. But it also does change the attack to 0. So no, actually it's a little bit different, but only works on X deck monsters. So if you're facing a true Draco player, this doesn't work against them. It's probably better just bring out like Clearwing Synchro. But you do negate the monster's effects and change its attack to 0. So that's pretty nice. And then if it would be destroyed by battle or card effect, of course it has the pendulum monster effect of being sent face up to the X deck. It also has a pendulum effect too. Oh wait, no. Oh, you just place it in your pendulum zone. So then its pendulum effect can work where you get to send a face-up Speedroid tuner and a face-up non-tuner you control to a graveyard. So levels equals 7 to special summon this card from pendulum zone. So it so if it's destroyed, it can just come out later by doing that. So yeah, you basically why you really only need to play one, because it can basically bring itself out infinitely like that. Anyway, so there's the first deck, and that took a while. So I'm gonna try to go through these other decks a little bit quicker. Luckily, I know a lot about the Synchro deck, so Synchron deck, so that shouldn't take as long. Anyway, here's the next deck. It's called Revolution Calls Thy Name. This deck uses tuner monsters like Fleur Synchron to synchro summon its strongest warrior type synchro monster. Turn the duel in your favor by using the ever versatile Baron de Fleur. This formidable monster allows you to destroy any card on the field, and you can also return to your X deck to special summon a level 9 or below monster from your graveyard. So Copy Plant basically allows you to target another. Once on the field, you get to once per turn target. You can activate this more than once though, like if you can like bring it out again, you can activate the effect again to target another plant monster that has a level, and then this card becomes the monster's current level. I don't really see like, but I guess you could like target one of your like lower plant levels, but like I don't really see like the kind of the point, because like you don't really have a level 12, and like your like highest, like your lowest synchro plant level is gonna be 6, so it would be a level 6 right there, and you have some pretty high wait, oh, you only have a few plants in this deck actually, like, and if you like pick Spore, like that's not really gonna do much. I mean, I guess you could pick Spore when it like has increased level, but I just don't think it will come up that much. Anyway, Spore has the effect where when it's in your graveyard, you get to banish another plant from your graveyard, either one of your Synchros, or you can do Copy Plant, and then special summon it, and this card's level, oh, and you increase the level by the level of the banish monster. So I don't think that's too bad. I guess you could like copy one of your plants level while you control another monster, and then you can like use that other monster to go into synchro play with Copy Plant. Fleur Synchron, when sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you get special summon a level 2 or low monster from your hand. So that's kind of good. Harpier Squadron is basically a quick effect synchro summon during your opponent's turn. When you can, as long as you control a face-up monster, that will allow you to go in single play. So basically a effect monster that will allow you to go in single play, which most of the time, if you have an effect monster in the field, that should. Necro Synchron allows you to, its name becomes Fleur Synchron while on the field or in the graveyard, and then you can target one of the face-up monsters. So you can increase another face-up monster's level by 2 if you want, if you need it to be a little bit higher for synchro plays. And then if it's sent to the graveyard synchro material for win monster exclusively, which I think yeah, so some of these aren't wins, so you want to be a little bit worried about that. You get to special summon a level 1 plant monster from your deck, which, I mean, Spore is a good choice for that. You don't have many options, but Spore is probably like the best choice. And then Spear Holder allows you to, when it's normal special summon, you get to target a level 8 or lower monster you control to have its name become Fleur Synchron and have it be treated as a tuner. And then also you contribute this card to basically add an equipped spell to your hand. And then each of these is a hard once per turn. And then Noble Knight must draw it. It also has the Noble Knight. So as long as this card isn't equipped with an equipped spell, otherwise it's treated as a normal monster. It's basically a Gemini, but instead of like gains effect through a double normal summon, gains effects through like equipping it with a equip spell. So, and when that happens, you get to basically special summon another Noble Knight from your deck in defense position and then destroy the equip spell. But that's actually a good thing, because then you can just equip it to the Noble Knight you special summon, which would be Driston, since it has to be with a different name. And then Driston, and then when you equip it to Driston, Driston allows you to target another face-up card on the field, but and then destroy that target. So that's pretty good. And then Noble Knight Shield Bearer allows you to, when someone special summon, banish a light from your graveyard to draw a card, which you probably, I mean, you may want to use that card, but like it's pretty good. But none of these monsters are light, so just be wary about that. And then also allows you to banish this card from your hand to field to add a level 6 or lower Wind Beast. So allowing you to add Harpier Squadron, or this next card, White Steed of the Floor Knights. And this one special summons itself when you control a level 2 or lower, so that's not too bad. And then you can go into Synchro play afterwards, which is pretty nice. And then Sarge de Fleur allows you to target a monster you control and a card on the field. That can be one of your opponent's cards, so that's pretty nice. So like you can basically destroy one of your own and one of your opponents. So it's kind of like a Scrap Dragon effect, or you can just pick 2 of your own even if you need to, and then you destroy them and special summon this card. And then if it's sent from the field to graveyard, you get to target one of the monsters in your graveyard, shuffle into the deck, then add 1 level 1 plant monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So like basically when it's sent to a graveyard, it's synchro material, which is mostly why, but like it can be other ways too, but mostly it's probably because synchro material. But like you kind of also you kind of need to like waste one of your monsters in order to bring this out. So like that's not always the best if you don't. But like then you can like maybe like special summon out again with like a Monster Reborn or Fluet de Fleur, which I'll go over soon enough. Soppy's Feather Dust, I already went through that. Monster Reborn, I already went through that. Foolish Burial allows you to send any monster from your deck to a graveyard, which can help you. It can allow you to send Spore if you can activate its effects, so that's pretty nice. And then Reinforcement to your army allows you to add a level 4 a low warrior, so like basically any of your Noble Knights work for that. And then Lightning Storm, I already went over that. Gallatin, you equip it to one of your warriors. It doesn't have to be a Noble Knight. You can equip it to your like you have a few Synchro warriors in here, so you can equip it to one of those as well to have it gain 1,000 attack, but during each of your standby phases. So it's pretty slow, so it's probably still good nonetheless. It loses 200 attack, and as long as you have a Noble Knight monster on the field, you can keep bringing it out, but you have to equip it to that Noble Knight specifically. Anyway. And like if it's destroyed twice in one turn, you can only use you won't be able to re-equip it again. And then Noble Arms Caliburn allows you to have it. It gains less attack, but it also won't lose any of that attack, like doing each of the same phases like the other card. And also allows you to once per turn gain 500 life points, which can be kind of cool. And then Noble Arms of Destiny basically allows you to protect the monster from being destroyed by battle card effects. So that's kind of nice. And then they all have the effect where if they're destroyed, they get to re-equip to a Noble Knight. And then Noble Arms Clan allows you to, once per turn, it allows the monster to basically attack directly. So that can be pretty good. It doesn't give any attack, but the attack directly can still be really nice. And then Fleur de Fleur this is basically a special summon for level 2 or lower, but just keep in mind that it negates the effect. So if you try bringing out Necrosynchron, its name won't be Fleur Synchron, and you won't be able to use its on-field effect either. So just keep that in mind. But it's very nice for going single plays, and once you do go in single play, since it was sent to a graveyard, basically allows you to re-equip it to that synchro monster that you did bring out. So that's kind of nice. It also gives a 7 attack boost, which can be pretty nice for the synchro monster. So maybe keep that in mind for when you think about which one to go into that can beat over your opponent's monsters. Synchro Dilemma, basically, its first effect allows you to send a synchro monster from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard. Special summon a monster from your hands. That's pretty nice. That's any monster as long as it can be special summoned. So that can be a pretty nice effect. And then the other effect allows you to target another card you control to destroy it and special summon a single monster with a different name from your hand or graveyard. So that's pretty good too. So they're not bad. Call by the Grave, of course, I explained. Liberty at Last. It basically allows you, when a monster you control is destroyed by battle and sent to a graveyard, allows you to shuffle 2 monsters from your graveyard into the deck. And then Pen of Revolution allows you to add a Liberty at Last. It allows you to search for this card or add it from your graveyard, so you can basically have multiple copies of this without having multiple copies of it. It adds 1 from your deck to a graveyard to your hand when another card you control is destroyed by battle card effect. And this effect can be activated multiple times and is a quick continuous trap, but you can only use each effect of Pen of Revolution once per turn. And then at the start of the damage step, and then it also allows like your synchro monster when it battles to be able to destroy the opponent's battling monster at the start of the damage step. So like what you can do is you can attack into a high attack, and then it would be able to still destroy it without having to worry about your own monster being destroyed. So that's kind of nice. And then also if this card would be destroyed, you can destroy one monster you control instead. So it can protect itself if you wish. And then for the X deck, Martial Metal Marcher. If this card is synchro summoned, you can target. Okay, so this basically allows you to like be able to target a tuner in your graveyard to special summon it. But since it's a tuner yourself, a single monster that uses cards materials tree has a tuner while face on the field. So that's pretty good. When you go into another single play using this card, you get to treat the whatever you special summon out as a tuner, which can be pretty nice to help you go into like other plays. But it's mandatory though, so like if you don't want to treat it as a tuner, then that kind of sucks. But like, and then since it like special summons a tuner specifically, you're gonna need to have another monster in order to go into some other play alongside that. And then this one is kind of good, but like what kind of sucks is it has to be specifically destroyed by a card effect in order to special summon out a level 4 or lower monster. But as long as you can get that out, like you can like maybe send a Noble Knight, and if you're like planning to bring out later with the Underworld Fighter, with the Force Wheel or something, I don't know. Anyway, Old Entity, and he also counts as a warrior, so you can like equip him up with the Noble Arm stuff, so that's cool. And then Old Entity Restore, basically, when this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, you get to equip this card to a face-up monster your opponent controls, and the monster cannot attack, nor can its effects be activated. And also, if it leaves the field while equipped to an opponent's monster, it gets to take control of the monster. So it can be kind of hard to be able to take control of it because you have to go through some steps. But I mean, like, if it applies, like, that could be pretty good. Like, maybe you can basically, I don't know. You can basically protect yourself from Hoppy's Feather Duster later on that way. But your opponent might just go into like other plays using it, so you might not even be able to take control of it. But I guess like the whole like negating the effect can be pretty good. I don't know. Ignoble Knight. This allows you to equip a Noble Arms equip spell directly from your deck to this card, which is kind of cool. And then at the end of the battle phase, when this card destroys a monster by battle, you get to add a noble, either one of your Noble Knight monsters or one of your Noble Arms equip spells to your hand. So that's pretty cool from your deck. And then, so it's got a few of the Info Noble Knight cards. And then this says, so if you equip a card to it and it declares an attack, you get to destroy a face-up card on the field. And then, during your main phase, except this turn, this has a graveyard effect that lets you target a war monster you control to special summon this card from graveyard as a tuner, and then you equip that monster to this custom equip spell, and it will also give this boost too. So that's pretty nice. So it comes out equipping that monster, giving itself 500 extra attack, so that's not bad. And it comes out as a tuner, so, which can be pretty nice. Splendid Rose. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to make another separate video for the last deck. Sorry about that. I was trying to avoid that, but this is taking a little bit longer than I thought. But that's okay. So I'll just go through the rest of the deck now, and that should be fine. So Splendid Rose says that when this card is brought out, once per turn, you get to banish a plant from the graveyard to basically have one of your opponent's monsters attack until the end of the turn, which can be pretty nice for being able to beat over some stuff. And then when this card attacked, you can also banish a plant monster there. You don't, it doesn't have to be one of your main deck monsters, but to basically have this card's attack, and it can make a second attack. So like if you need a little bit of extra damage to be able to get game, otherwise I don't think it's really worth it to like banish a plant for that, especially since you don't really have a ton of plant monsters, but you do have a few. But it's probably better just to use it for the having the opponent's attack if you need it. And then Psychic Nightmare, it's pretty. You need specifically a non-tuner Psychic, which I don't think you have a ton of. What can you bring out? Like use. I don't know how you're bringing this card out, but once per turn during your main phase, you can pick one random card in your opponent's hand. Call what type of card it is. Monster, spell, or trap. If you call it right, this card gains 1,000 attack until your opponent's end phase. I guess it can be pretty good if your opponent only has one card and you already know what type it is. But otherwise, it seems kind of random, and like I'm not sure how good that really is. But I don't know if I really want to like really go into a card like that. This one is more generic. But it's also kind of a little bit hard to activate. But sometimes you'll have like cards with the same original type and attribute in your graveyard, but different names to be able to banish them to target a card on the field and send to the graveyard. Or it cannot be destroyed with battle, or card effects, but you need to control 2 or more monsters in graveyard with the same original type and attribute but different names. But like sometimes that comes up, and then when it does, you can maybe go into it and maybe just leave them if you want it, if you rather have its first effect be live, or like banish them if there's a really bad card that you need to get rid of on your opponent's side of the field. And then Chevalier de Fleur allows you to quick effect negate a spell or trap card once per turn. So that's pretty good, and also it destroys it. But it specifically calls for the Fleur Synchron. So, and then Mistworm allows you to turn up to 3 cards on opponent's side of the field to their hand. So that can be pretty good. And then Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles allows you to destroy a card whenever a monster, it doesn't even have to be himself, but whenever any monster is equipped with an equipped card. And then during the end phase, you get to equip a equipped spell from your hand or graveyard to his card. So that's pretty good. And then you equip a Fire Warrior from your deck to his cards and equip spell that gives it 500 attack. I don't think you have any Fire Warriors, so you're probably not going to be able to activate its whole effect, but definitely have equipped spells, so you don't have to do one like the second to be able to activate the first, so that's okay. And then you can only use each effect of Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles once per turn. So that can act as a, basically like on your opponent's end phase, like because you're equipping something, you like that's kind of a quick effect negate, but like you're probably not gonna like be able to control the when you destroy a card very much, except on your turn, because you don't really have any ways of like quick effect equipping something to something else. Anyway, there's Stellarwind Wolf Riot, which I don't know how good the effect is. It basically gains 300 attack each time your opponent tries activating a monster effect, and then while as long as its attack is less than 4,000, once it gets up to 4,000 attack, you get to shuffle both this card and all monsters your opponent controls into deck. So it can be pretty hard to get for it to go all the way up to 4,000, but I guess now your opponent has to be kind of worried, since it's also on a quick effect too of activating monster effects. I guess it's good for like a deck that like activates a lot of monster effects. And then Baron de Fleur allows you to, it's not a quick effect, but it's still pretty good. You get to destroy a card on the field once per turn, and then this only is able to happen once, but it basically is able to negate a card effect and destroy it, and then its first effect is like is a hard once per turn actually. So yeah, and then during the standby phase you get to special summon a level 9 at the cost of returning this card to the X deck, special summon it from the graveyard. So there's that deck. So yeah, okay, so I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. I'll have to do a part 2 of these deck explanation because I have to get through one more. But anyway, bye. Please like, share, and subscribe, and considering that notification bell for regular content.